This is Day 9 Daily number 447, where we learn to be a better gamer. Hopefully. Today was tax day. Oh my god, I had to pay my taxes. I have to pay them by midnight tonight, which meant today was of utmost importance. I had one of those relaxing moments where I woke up and said, there's e-pay. You can pay via the internet. But you know what happened? Literally nothing. It didn't go through. It just said error. I couldn't pay the taxes, so what I had to do was I had to resort to analog technology. I had to go print off the 1040 voucher payment thing, and then I had to go to the bank and get a cashier's check because I don't have checks. I don't do that analog technology BS. I rely on the internet for everything. So I had to get a check, and I went to the post office to mail it in an actual physical letter. And I was worried that I wasn't filling the letter out correctly. Right? Once upon a time I heard someone go, "Oh, Sean, man, wow, I mean, you're really smart. You say smart things." And I thought, that guy doesn't have to live inside my head all day, where I think the dumbest things and have the most insane concerns. And that was just so starkly presented to me today when I was looking at the letter and I didn't actually know how to fill it out properly. If you've ever thought I have had any semblance of intelligence, let us remove these suspicions today by letting you know I didn't know how to fill out the letter. I'm pretty sure that on the letter you put where you're mailing it to in the middle, and your address in the top left and your stamp on the bottom right. But if there's one thing you don't want to mess up, it's your tax payment. Because in America, I no doubt in 2020 they'll come to me and say, "Sean, you owed $87 in taxes, but we never got the check, so you owe $50,000 in back taxes." And I'm going to go, "Oh, well, I've been in esports my whole life, so of course I have like 50 yachts, I'll just sell them off to pay it." No, that can't happen, right? So I literally asked 3 people, did I fill this out correctly? Did I fill out the front of the letter correctly? And then the guy looks at it and he's like, "Yeah, did you put the check inside?" And I went, "Oh yeah," and I actually literally forgotten to put the check in. I was so strung out. And then like on the side of the post office, I don't know how people send letters, man. It's impossible. There's actually like 15 slits to like put letters in, and there's one that's labeled stamped envelope, and there's a slit on the top, and like a hamper that you can open up and like throw your letters or your laundry, or maybe it was the garbage. I don't know. But I put it in the slit that said stamped envelopes, and I'm just hoping, I'm really praying that it actually worked properly, because the best part about digital technology is that it doesn't trust you. It assumes that you're an idiot. How many times have you been on a website and you like post something and it's like, "Are you sure you want to post that?" And you're like, maybe I don't. It's for idiots like me. That's the safeguard. And so finally, when I put this letter away and I come back home, I realize there's tons of shit. I don't even know how it works. What if I've been operating my toaster wrong for years and everyone's been laughing at me, but no one's told me? If Amazon.com made the toaster, it would be like, "Are you sure that's what you want to do? Don't worry, we saved the optimal toaster settings. This is the most uprated 5-star way to toast your toast ever." Even on my microwave, every microwave has buttons. You don't even know what they do. Like, I have a button that says inverter defrost. What? There's another one that says more/less. I don't know what that button is. There's like popcorn and soup. There's a soup button on my microwave. There's even a button on mine that says keep warm. As though when I press that, an old woman's gonna come out and go, "Oh, here's a scarf you need to keep warm." And I'm like, "Oh, this microwave is so thorough." I have no idea, and this stressed me out to no degree, or excuse me, to no end today as I was paying taxes, and just trying to send that letter literally was the most stressed I have been in my entire life. But hopefully, the United States government receives my check, and then I may continue to just sit happily in my room with Manfred. Isn't that right, Manfred? Bunny is sleeping, man. That bunny is such a lethargic, furry thing. Now that I've had the chance to vent to you, and I appreciate your support so much, I want to talk about the Newbie Tuesday topic of today, which is none other than the idea of refining build orders. 2 dailies in a row, it's about simplifying build orders. 2 dailies in a row, we talked about the following idea. With a build order, people tend to Oh, I hope you guys saw that frame drop. That actually panicked me. That freaked me out. Okay, we're back. Sorry. 2 days in a row, we talked about the idea of, God, I can't handle any more stress today. Seriously, man, sending that letter just strung me out. Oh my God, I'm gonna have to do something relaxing like ladder afterwards. That'll calm me down. Stay focused, Sean. Ha. Last 2 dailies in a row, we talked about the idea of simplifying build orders. It's easy to become addicted to this logic of 10 depot, 12 barracks, 14 barracks, 15 depot, 15 orbital, and you get in these habits of thinking in terms of the food count. But the problem is that has no flexibility to it whatsoever. So we created this idea of building groups and then fleshing out the units in between. Something like this. Let's take one of the submissions that I got yesterday. All right, excellent. This is from Nix, who sent the following sort of build order, where, okay, this is a pretty simple way of mimicking Genius's air style. First, we do the simple steps. Oh my God, he spelled building wrong. How embarrassing. First, we do the simple steps: Forge, Expo, Gateway, Core. Notice we're not worried about order, we're worried about groups. We get this done. And then we add the Stargate and 3 gateways. Then we get the Twilight Council, Robo, and an Expand. Then we get the Colossus Bay, and we get 4 more gates. We create this simple building-based structure. And then we flesh this out by figuring out what units occur. I'll even pull this up. Then we figure out what units occur along with which grouping. Just like this, and all that good stuff. And last but not least, the advanced technique is to figure out all the intricate ordering. Sure, we have something like Forge, Expo, Gateway, Core as a group, but do we build the Forge first, then the Expo, Expo first, then the Forge? We're trying to figure out that ordering. That's the last most advanced piece. And notice how far away this is from everything else, like this 10 depot, 12 barracks, 14 barracks, this sort of thing. We want to make sure that we have a clear plan going from start to finish. So what we're going to do today is we're going to look at your submissions. We're going to be starting with a Zerg player named Progenitus, who did an amazing job mimicking Stefano's maxed Zerg style. We're going to move on to Nix's style, where we're going to see a couple of shortfalls, and then we're going to look at a poor fellow named Nilda Wen, Nilda Wen, who had a little bit of a rough time, but it's important that we give Nilda Wen support because everyone has been there where our build orders just don't freaking work. Now, I want to step for a moment and just emphasize why we're doing buildings first and then units. It's very easy to get caught up in that thought process of, I'm just going to build the units because immortals counter roaches and this sort of thing. But you can build an immortal at any point in time during a game. You can start the robo early and build it, or you can have your robo later and think, I need immortals, and build it then. And it's a little bit situational to think of just, well, I kind of need these units, so let me just build it. The important thing about thinking in buildings first is that with a building, you're going to have that building all game long. So you have to think about the use of it all game long. Building a Marauder is not nearly as significant as a barracks with a tech lab and what you do with that building. Because the building you're going to have all game long, whereas that Marauder may live for a while, but then he'll die maybe if you do a drop. You don't want to think of strategies in terms of the drop or the play or the sequence or the attack. It's all about what the buildings do, so we want to flesh those out first. And the first thing that I gave in terms of homework was I want you to begin this build order test, and let's go ahead and bring up Progenitus's homework sheet. Ha ha ha. Excellent. I will even minimize some of it, so that way it's nice and simple. So what we saw Progenitor do is Progenitor wanted to mimic this Stefano-style mass roach, maxing at 11 minutes versus Protoss. This has recently become really popular via the Reddits. So this is what he began with. Look at how simple this is. To fill this in, these are the building groups. If I could spell any worse, I would be illiterate. But fortunately, I have a keen eye. Building groups to start out with. Notice how simple these groups are. Pool and 2 hatch. 2 gas later. Build a gas. And then Evo Roach Warren gas layer and macro hatch. There's something interesting to note already about this sort of pattern. is that it doesn't actually seem all that complicated. And it really shouldn't be. And what the homework assignment that I provided, and let me reopen this again, the homework assignment I provided is after you get these building groups up, play 5 games with them just to get a feel for it. Just play 5 games with it. Pool and 2 hatch, 2 gas, gas and Evo, gas plus Roach Warren plus layer plus macro hatch. One thing to note, I actually moved the Evo back here to part 3 because this is what we saw in Progenitus' first game. So what we're doing is we're running through game 1 of Progenitus, no doubt, with the sound enabled. And what we want to see is this first attempt. There's actually no opponent in the game. Literally, come look at the everyone cam. Yeah, that's right, Progenitus is the only one. And one big hole that we're already seeing is that there is no timings really set out here. It's just the building groups. I want you so badly to get feel of what's going on. So we see Progenitus. He takes his hatchery. His queen is actually coming out a little late, but I'm saying a little late right now to let you know. Progenitus, sitting at home, is just sort of building things as he can. There's the third going down. And what we're looking for here is we just want to feel how things go. Do we have enough money to do things? Do we not have enough money to do things? Do we have too much gas, too little gas? Here's a drone transfer that goes down. Did we like how that felt or not? There's 2 more queens coming for a total of 4. Already, we're noticing some very simple things happening, where Progenitus has way too much gas. Here's his Evo coming down and his third gas geyser. Wow. He has followed his building groups exactly. He did his pool and 2 hatch, and then he did his 2 gas, and then he did his gas and Evo. But something went a little bit awry in the build order, where we just have so much freaking gas we don't know what to do with ourselves. But we sort of continue along getting the +1. What was our next building group? Gas, Roach Warren, layer, macro hatch. Okay, let's see here. Gas, yep, there's our 4th gas. Roach Warren, layer, macro hatch. Cool. And many of you are asking in the chat, where did he get this build from? He just watched a replay of Stefano performing this style. Now, Progenitus is not a master or grandmaster player. In fact, he's not even diamond. He is a platinum Zerg player who's doing our intro game. And an amazing thing is happening right now. 11:15, this is when Stefano was maxed in his game. And actually, because my transitions aren't working, watch this. I'm going to go to my controls. Remove confined mouse cursor. Look at my mouse. Oh, it slides off the left hand and right back again. Cool. Stefano maxed his army at 11:11. A platinum Protoss player working with just this has hit 158 supply. That's great. This is why we begin with a skeleton structure first, even when we mess up and have way too much gas. And as a matter of fact, we even built way too many overlords at one point. Let me go ahead and show that right here. Yeah, 108 of 174 food. Yeah, we went a little bit overkill. And even then, we still hit 158 supply out of 200 when Stefano was maxed. We're only a little bit behind. So as I actually zoom back ahead, moving things right along. I love that we see our superhero progenitor hit 12 minutes and say, I hit maxed, and type 12 minutes. This is a way to create self-benchmarks. And that is game number 1 of Progenitor. Or Progenitus, excuse me. What I want to do is I want to actually open up some of the notes from Progenitus and just see what this process was like. And I want to note how simple these thoughts are and how profoundly impactful they end up being. So what we're going to do is, again, the homework assignment for today was first play 5 games just thinking of the simple building groups and getting a feel for it. So let's come down and look at some of the feel. Thoughts after game 1? Holy crap, don't need gas so early. too much Overlord spam. And that's it. That's it. This is why you play alone. This is why you don't play against an opponent. You first just want to play in a comfortable environment. 12 minutes in StarCraft 2 is actually only like 8 to 8.5 minutes of time in real life. You can just dish these out, play 5 games, complete, done in under half an hour. Easy, 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 easy. 8 times 5 is in under 45 minutes. Look at this, thoughts after game 2. We're not going to watch all the games, but look, not enough gas now, had a surplus of minerals. Was getting +1 attack. Realize now that Evo is only a safeguard versus Stargate. Going to try to condense steps 3 and 4 or just shorten the time between. Look at this, getting a little bit supply blocked. Perfect. This is what you want to get out of the way right now. If you can get the supply block out of the way in practice games, it's not going to come back to haunt you in games. Econ felt better. Look at this, going to try triggers for next step. Take 2 gas when the 3rd finishes. Gas in Evo when the other 2 gases finish. Do step 4 when the Evo is done. Think it's okay to spam Overlords a little bit. Noticing some downtime, just taking note of it. What you will experience if you've never played alone in single player before is how clear the mistakes back home are. You don't get distracted by a stalker killing off a Zergling in the middle of the map, having you panic and go, oh my god, maybe I need to just react and suddenly build a bunch of spine crawlers. Maybe not. Do you think I could have enough? I don't know. And all the while, you're just not transferring dudes into gas. Meanwhile, if you're only thinking about your own stuff, it's a lot easier. Let's see here. Evo chamber needs to be down about 30 seconds to a minute quicker. Just adjustments. Ended up having less drones. Could have definitely done another round of drones. Now, one thing that I want to note is that if you're mimicking a build order, you'll probably have some back and forth, where you'll play a little bit and then go back and be like, was Stefano getting the Evo chamber that early? Yes? No? No, he actually wasn't getting it that early. And this is what we end up seeing in game number 6. I'll actually hop to game number 7 so we can see it pretty clearly. This is after just 7 games. This is the 7th game that we're actually going to begin looking at. And we're going to see some pretty clear improvements already. So let me just joink over on into the game. You're going to have some back and forth. Oh, look, game 7, already saying it. And one thing I want to note that's very important. Why are we spending all this time getting a feel for these buildings and these timings when I could just copy a whole bunch of build orders exactly? Why do one and not the other? I think that the build order in the end is useful for super ultra optimizations. It's pretty cool to be able to get your warp gate up at the same time as him, but have an extra zealot because you used a fancy build. That's cool to be able to do that. However, I want to let you know, it is very easy to fall into the trap of thinking, I need to be exact, just following the build order, and you have no idea why. You only know what and not why. Interestingly, this is a huge problem that B-teamers have on Korean pro teams. They are amazing at executing builds and following these hyper-exact build orders to a T. 10 barracks, 12 supply, or excuse me, 10 supply, 12 barracks, 14 barracks, 15 orbital commands, 16 supply. They can follow it exactly up to like 80 supply, but they have no idea why. And this is one of the big reasons that a lot of the B-teamers end up stagnating. There's some really infamous stories of players, especially back in the Brood War days, and you'd say something like, well, that guy can't attack you, so why are you building that extra bunker? And they would say, because you just build the extra bunker now. This is just when you build it. And it's that sort of inflexible thinking that causes a problem. So we're going to see Progenitus fleshing all this out, and the most important thing is the last 5 games that he played were on the ladder. And we're going to see crazy shit going on for Progenitus, but he has this underlying structure always working out well for him. So let's pop back into the game. I'll note another thing in this notepad document that we have. This is a moment where Progenitus got the chance to rewatch and says, hurrah, Stefano uses the same trigger between steps 1 and 2. This can be a very validating thing for you. But we also got the chance to see he revised his build a little bit. Before this was the case, But now, no, I can't talk. No. Owned. Turning off the phone, throwing it behind me. So this is the revised thing. What was the intermediate step? Figuring out what units and upgrades go where. So here, in step 1, we're building drones, 3 queens and 2 lings. Building a lot of drones here, building a lot of drones here, plus getting the speedling upgrade right around here. And then we follow up with roaches and lings and queen and roach speed and range attack. I want you to notice that 4th queen. Remember in the first game we just saw this 4th queen was actually happening around here. But now we've moved it back to an appropriate time because we've played around a little bit. The roach speed and range attack just kind of happens in this step. And again, notice how incredibly simple this is, this entire descriptor. Excellent. Progenitus, let's see how things end up getting fleshed out in game number 7. We do have this drone scout coming up for Progenitus. He may decide later that he wants to do that. Remember, it was 12 minutes and a lot of bumpiness in the first circumstance, and we actually didn't have that many drones. In this game, Progenitus getting his second queen up, trying to be pretty good with his injects. His injects are getting better. The execution is getting better. And again, I want to note, the execution of the injects isn't the ultra-critical portion of the build. That's what will make your build happen faster, but that's not the critical component of that skeleton. So for instance, if you are missing injects and doing this build, you might get maxed at 1230, 1245. If you're really nailing the injects like Stefano is, you'll just be getting things faster because you'll be getting more money. And that's pretty much how all builds will work. Same thing with Terran and Protoss. If you're forgetting to build SCVs and missing depots and pylons, things will get slowed down, but the structure won't get messed up at all. So coming back, we see this pretty clean mimicking, and hey, the drone, or this timing on the extractors is actually quite good. The exact timing that a lot of players use is around 6 to 6:15. Progenitus now getting his 3rd up. Here's the Roach Warren and Evolution Chamber all coming down together. Ling speed, a little bit later than what we were doing before, but look, there is the there's the layer, there's the hatch coming down, +1 coming up right on time. We can even build some roaches now for an emergency defense if we want. But no, we're getting up to 17 drones. Or excuse me, 71 drones. Sorry, dyslexia kicking in. And some real excellence coming up. So look at this. Look at the economy. Look at how even that money and gas is. Missing overlords a little bit. Drats. That will cause us to build up a bit. But hey, look at this. Continuing to churn out. In fact, look at the 6 overlords that are being built. Way too many. We actually only need to build 2 more. And even with that error, Progenitus is coming up a full 2 minutes, or excuse me, a full 15 seconds faster with the macro hatch, the 4 queens, with this +1 happening at a much better time. Everything is in fact looking a lot more safe. And everything thus far has been very simple. I would have liked to go a little bit longer for this. I would have liked to show the rest of these games in part 1. Looks like we'll just be doing some in part 2. But to note, as I come back to this little hint here, or this little cheat sheet, as Progenitus started to do more and more testing, had much more sophisticated thoughts going on. I want to try 14 pool instead of 15. 14 pool, going on and on and on. Let me scroll down to this advanced thing. The simple was the building groups. The intermediate was just listing these things out. And the advanced, look at this. This is where we get our timings. Pool on 14, hatch on 16. Queen right away, and then ling. Progenitus was getting the lings first, and then the queen. Hatch on 23. Queens whenever those hatch finished. 2 gas at main when 3rd finishes. Again, notice how it's linked to this unit group and these building groups. Gas at natural when gas is in main finish. Ling speed at 100 gas. Was never fully on top of this. No problem acknowledging those. Gas at 3rd when natural's gas finishes. Evo, Roach Warren, Layer, Macro Hatch immediately after in order. Evo, Roach Warren, Layer, Macro Hatch. Begin upgrades ASAP. It's a smooth, clean, fleshed out build. What we're going to do in part 2 is we're going to see this build from Progenitus get tested in the fires of the ladder. And this is where we're going to see how amazingly helpful having this list of stuff is for us. So when we go on to part 2, we're going to see your simple build order now tested on the ladder. So don't go anywhere, because the real test is coming up. He said with local news type drama.